This is Matt Russell, and welcome to the Daily FX Forum.
So here are the 5 pairs that I will be discussing this evening: the Euro Pound, the Aussie Kiwi, the Pound Swiss, the Euro Swiss, as well as the Euro Aussie. So let's go ahead and pull up the charts. First chart is the Euro Pound. The short trade from 88.23 continues. I would just continue to stay in the trade, keeping that stop at 88.75, as that 88.40 area should be stiff resistance over the next several weeks or months. The next chart is the Aussie Kiwi, and if you recall, 2 reports back, we covered the short trade from 127 at 125.10. I mentioned during yesterday's report I still like this resistance line, but I wanted to give it another day or so. We could see that during yesterday's session, prices actually got within a few pips of that line, then reversed, leaving behind a very long wick. So I actually would have a bearish bias now against the high of that candle, which is 126.60. Prices right now a little bit too far away to justify a favorable risk-reward entry, so I'm going to look for short trades at 126.40 with a stop at 127.10. Again, that would be short 126.40 with a stop at 127.10. The next chart is the Pound Swiss, and the short trade from 170.25 or 170.30 continues. Again, I mentioned 2 price levels when I was speaking about that trade, either 170.25 or 170.35, and prices got up to 170.30. So if you're in this trade right now, I would go ahead and exit. It's a little less than a 300 pip gain, about 275 pips right now. So I just go ahead and take your profits in this trade, take it off the table, and again, just stay on the sidelines. The next chart is the Euro Swiss, and as I was mentioning during the past several reports, a long entry at 146.90 with a stop at 146.30. If you were in this trade, you were stopped out, and actually you were just stopped out probably within the last couple of minutes or so, and that's okay. That's just part of trading, and I will just be on the sidelines now looking for other favorable risk-reward entries. The next chart is the Euro Aussie, and the short trade that I've been mentioning for the past several weeks did trigger during yesterday's session. Initially, I had the entry at 159.25, then I moved it down to 159. Then during yesterday's report, I moved it down even lower to 58.75. So, and the entry was short at 158.75 with a stop at 160. Again, that did trigger during yesterday's report, so you should hopefully all be in this trade. I really like the way this looks. We have a spike that moved above the longer term resistance line here that also kissed the previous support line, which should now act as resistance, and then prices came back and closed back beneath it. So I do, again, like the way this trade looks. I would move the stop now to just above the high of that candle wick, and the high of that candle wick is 159.50, so let's call it 159.75. So the entry should be 158.75 with a stop now at 159.75. Again, my name is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening, and please stay tuned for a preview of the Daily FX Forums. I want to take this opportunity to formally welcome you all to the Daily FX Forums. I want to go through the process of how I personally access the forums and how maybe you at home, if you want to access the forums in the future, might do so. The first thing you would do is go to www.dailyfx.com, and that will bring up, obviously, dailyfx.com, and usually there on the upper right hand corner I'll go ahead and click on where it says forum, and that will bring up the first page of the forums. And this view, I personally don't use this view, but this view actually shows you the most recent posts on all the threads within the different sections and a little detail about those posts, so you can read through and see if there's something catches your interest. But personally, I go ahead and just click on forums and view them in the more traditional sense. Now, these are different threads within the forum. There's a section on education, such as Daily FX course instructor tips, which would be good for newer traders, and then for more advanced traders. And I just want to go ahead, personally, the way I use the forums is I would go through the individual threads, just looking for trade ideas, maybe looking at charts, looking at certain lines that maybe I didn't put up on my chart, but another trader might have put up on their chart. I tend to shy away from using direct trade recommendations from other forum members, but it helps me to sort of even out my analysis, make sure that I'm seeing things with the right mind in terms of I might be missing stuff that other traders can see, and that's my personal way of using the forum. Every trader is going to be a little bit different in how they use it. So if you want to ask questions, if you want to become an active participant of the members, you would have to go ahead and register. So that's what I'm going to go through now, is the registration process. So assuming you're brand new to the forums, or maybe you've been here a few times and you're not really sure how it works, so I just want to walk through again the registration process. This would be the front page where you would access, or the previous page. You'd have the same little box here on the left hand side. Obviously, my username and password are already filled out here, but assuming you're a new member, you would click on where it says register, and that will bring up the registration page. If you give me one moment here while my browser loads. And actually first we're going to have some terms of service and DailyFX forum rules. I do suggest reading through the forum rules. Obviously, profanity and spam and things like that are not allowed, but it also gives you insight on how to use the forum and how different traders can use it in terms of their individual needs. So you would go down to the bottom there, you'd click on where it says I have read all the rules, and then you would go ahead to the register the formal registration page, and that will bring up here. And you can go ahead and select the username, and how about we'll use 4x, and that name is already in use, so maybe add a few more x's there. Again, it really, your individual username is up to you, and you go ahead and fill in your password, your email address. Now, the most difficult aspect of registration for the DailyFX forums will be figuring out these letters in the box here. Now, I'm a semi-intelligent person, but I have a very difficult time figuring out which letters and numbers to use. Now there is a reason for this madness. It helps with security, but I would suggest just going ahead and keep on clicking that refresh image until something comes through that you can actually identify and see. Then you can go ahead and enter your birthday, but you can decide whether or not to display that to other forum members. And then also, if you were referred by somebody, you can enter that information there. The time zone, that should default to your computer, but you should double check and make sure. And then you can opt in, and I would suggest opting in for these emails in terms if the administrators want to go ahead and send you some notices about the forum, and then you would complete registration. Now what happens is they would send you an email to the email address that you put up here, and that email will include a link, and all you would have to do is go ahead and click on that link, and that link will bring you inside the forum, and you would now be a member of the DailyFX forums. Again, this is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening.